No, I'm serious. If Matt Nagy would have just punched one of those officials in the face on Monday Night Football instead of yelling at them all night, he could have saved his job. He could have saved his job. The world would have supported him. It's true. Welcome back to Odd Man Sports. I'm your host, Brandon Perna. And as a Christmas present to me, please take a minute and subscribe here, or you can just send me some money on Venmo. I'm also the host of That's Good Sports, as well as the Grossi Perna Show. And with so many shows on my plate, I barely had enough time to move around the Tony Dungy on a shelf every night. On today's episode, oh, that's right. Sorry. We don't have our second cameraman. I forgot he is out this week with COVID, so it's just us today. On this week's show, I'll conduct a full audit of Andy Dalton's charity. I'll reveal how Deion Sanders is really signing these recruits, and I'll show you the one person who is totally incapable of cashing in on his name, image, and likeness. Hint, it's me. Dinks and Dunks. Well, it's official. The Chiefs once again have the best odds to win Super Bowl 56 at plus 475, followed by the Packers at plus 500. And if you're looking for a value play, I recommend parlaying a rematch of Super Bowl I, Chiefs-Packers. This time, though, with Jackson Mahomes doing a TikTok dance on Vince Lombardi's grave. Speaking of which, Jackson Mahomes was criticized this week after he used his social media to blast a small Kansas City restaurant for not bending over backwards to accommodate his large party. And while I did enjoy this takedown of Patrick Mahomes' brother, I think it obscured a more important point. Just how awful Patrick Mahomes' wife is.
All right, here we go. Rappers, Future. Meek Mill.
No one.
I don't know.
As you might have guessed, I did not grow up listening to rap music, but I can name more than 0 rappers. Beastie Boys, there's 3. Eminem, Mac Miller, Macklemore, Machine Gun Kelly, Action Bronson, Bubba Sparks, Kid Rock, Paul Wall, Post Malone, Hoodie Allen, House of Pain, Weird Al, Cole Beasley, and of course, Neil Diamond.
Red wine make me feel so good, even if the words aren't understood.
The only thing more painful than watching Brittany Mahomes trying to remember a rapper, watching Cam Newton trying to remember a television show.
I'm also waiting on billions, not billions. What's God, I just blew a blank. Netflix. Oh my God. Hold on, it's gonna take a minute. Not Succession. That's on HBO. It's about it was shot on Lake Lanier.
Ozark?
Ozark! That's a great one.
Now Cam's squad, the Panthers, lost to Buffalo 31-14, and before the game, Carolina had to hold impromptu kicking tryouts after kicker Zane Gonzalez suffered a quad injury before the game. And I can't believe I have to even say this, but Gonzalez's injury was a result of slipping during warm-ups, and not because he was kicked by his head coach. Speaking of old Urban Meyer, after the Jaguars coach was fired, the line for Jacksonville's game against the lowly Texans moved from -3.5 to -5 for the Jags, meaning Vegas believes the Jags are a full 1.5 better without Meyer than they were with him, which is something on his resume I'd love to hear Urban have to defend. Now, the Jags fell to the Texans 30-16, and if you watch that game without money on it, you probably need to check yourself into some sort of anonymous 12-step program. The most memorable play of the game, and maybe of the year for the Jags, was a fan wandering onto the field as James Robinson scored a touchdown, which is another thing the Jags have in common with the Texans, whose 2021 highlight also involves a fan. DJ, Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the Saints 9-0. During the Bucs' loss to the Saints, a clearly frustrated Brady slammed down his Microsoft tablet on the sidelines, showing another thing he has in common with Bill Belichick. They both prefer Macs. Speaking of the Patriots coach, Bill Belichick surprised the Boston media during his Monday press conference by apologizing for his short answers after Saturday's loss to the Colts.
Look, fellas, I apologize if, I seemed like I was a little short with you after the game. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say now, but, it's not your fault.
An iconic Bostonian saying, "It's not your fault." Why does that sound familiar?
Look at me, son.
It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me.
It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean, not you.
It's not your fault.
Now the Bills do travel to New England this week for a game that will likely decide the AFC East. Sadly, Buffalo lost the first matchup in Buffalo this season, where the wind was so strong that Bills fans couldn't even throw sex toys onto the field, a tradition that dates back to 2016, which led to this guy receiving a lifetime ban from the stadium. That's a tough one to explain to Grandma. But here's Brady at the time being asked about the dildo.
Did you see what the Bills fan threw on the field?
We were told that we can refer to it as a sex toy or a female sex toy.
I did see it. Yes, I did.
I mean, you got to get it past security. That can't be easy.
I know. How'd they get that in the stadium?
Of all the ridiculous things Tom has said over his 21-year career, not being able to figure out how a fan snuck a dildo past security is probably my favorite. Gee, Tom, I wonder where he hid the dildo. A quick note about free stuff. Starting this week, check out the Game Days MLB Free Agent Frenzy, in which you predict which team the top 15 free agents, including Carlos Correa and Freddie Freeman, will sign once this stupid lockout ends. Whoever gets the most correct wins an authentic MLB jersey of your choice. All you have to do is click on the pinned comment below to enter. So do it. Money talks! Astute fans will remember this play during the Bills-Bucks game, in which Stephon Diggs did not draw a pass interference flag. In response to the referee's missed calls, Bills Mafia responded by donating over $40,000 to the VIA, a visual impairment nonprofit in Buffalo. We love this. We love when Bills Mafia does this. Of course, the most famous example of this kind of giving occurred back in 2018, with Bills fans also involved.
With Cincinnati trailing Baltimore by 3, Dalton threw a game-winning 49-yard touchdown pass on 4th and 12 to put Buffalo into the postseason. Donations to Dalton's foundation were coming in from Bills fans.
You're not even their quarterback.
I know. That's what makes this story just so crazy.
But this week, the story got even crazier. A Buffalo News investigation revealed that a huge percentage of the $440,000 donated by Bills Mafia in 2018 never made it to the people the Dalton Foundation aims to help. It turns out over $100,000 of the fans' donations went not to charity, but to the people who run the charity. In this case, a super shady company called Prolanthropy that specializes in running pro-athlete foundations. The normal cut for this kind of service, 5 to 10%. Prolanthropy's cut, 22.5%. But on top of Prolanthropy's $100,000 cut, it used another $30,000 of the fans' donations for travel expenses, including chartering a private plane to deliver $25,000 to a Buffalo medical facility, because no oversized check shall fly commercial. The craziest part of this whole thing, the two groups everyone knows not to steal from are charities and the mafia, and this Prolanthropy managed to steal from both. So how did this happen? Well, according to Andy Dalton's wife, Jordan, they partnered with the charity based on advice from a friend shortly after Andy was drafted. And this was her explanation for why they agreed to such shitty terms. Honestly, we probably didn't take it seriously enough because we were 22 and right out of college, and we just wanted to help people. Or as scammers refer to people like this, young, dumb, and full of income. So what's the moral here? Should football fans close up their wallets instead of making charitable contributions based on football plays? Absolutely not. But next time Christian McCaffrey or Clyde Edwards-Helaire puts one on the dirt against your favorite team, earmark your donation for a real charity and not one of these poorly managed athlete foundations. Patreon.com/that'sgoodsports. Because in all likelihood, they're just as good at running a foundation as you are at running a football. Odd man out. The college football bowl season is underway with many of the top players sitting out to prepare for the NFL draft, including Pitt quarterback Kenny Pickett and possible #1 overall pick Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. The lack of star power has forced bowl sponsors to get creative in hopes of attracting eyeballs to their games. Case in point, the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Hi, I'm Danny Morrison, Executive Director of the Duke's Mayo Bowl. This year, we are offering $10,000 to the winning team's charity of choice if Duke's Mayo is dumped after the game.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl features North Carolina versus South Carolina. And personally, I'd be rooting for a mayonnaise bath for South Carolina coach Shane Beamer. Mainly because I don't think it's humanly possible for Mac Brown to get any whiter based on this performance. Speaking of South Carolina football, the Gamecocks announced they have signed Braden Davis, the number 14 quarterback in the class of 2022. The signing was considered quite a surprise, considering Davis attends high school in Alabama and was also being recruited by the Crimson Tide. And while I don't know the specific reasons why Davis chose SC over Bama, I imagine his signing day went a little something like this. Whew, this was not an easy decision, and one I really wrestled with. I've got two great schools, two great programs. We've got Alabama, the school I grew up rooting for, with a tradition unlike any other. So obviously I'm tempted to put on this hat. But this hat says Cox. Now Alabama's got one of the greatest coaches of all time, the best facilities in the country, and a proven track record of preparing quarterbacks for the NFL. But again, this hat says Cox. It's Cox. Cox on my head. Put the Cox on my head already. Best of luck to Braden Davis on his decision. Now, the big signing day news, of course, was the #1 recruit in the country, Travis Hunter, choosing to play for Deion Sanders at Jackson State, a historically black college. And at least according to Terrell Owens, Deion's race played a big factor in Hunter's decision.
To go into that young man's home who looks like him, there's not a white coach that can go into a black man's home and do that, what Deion did.
And if anyone can relate to how uncomfortable it can be when strange white people barge into your home, it's definitely Deion Sanders.
We are in the home of Deion Sanders. Looks like you're wearing your signing bonus here. Even the baby has jewelry.
All right, that's it for today. Tune in next week for the Odd Man Sports End of the Year Awards. And Merry Christmas to everyone out there. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, Kenny Galladay to you and your family. Odd Man Sports.
It's in the game.